Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar called the Aboriginal Student Guide to Life on Campus. My name is Thar and I will be your host for today's webinar. I am a fourth year student studying political studies and Indigenous studies here at Queen's, and in today's webinar we will hear about the Four Directions Aboriginal Centre. The Centre strives to be a home away from home for Indigenous students and a site of information and support for the broader Queen's community. Before I turn the webinar over to the presenters, I want to cover a few logistical details. If you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat. The chat will remain live throughout the webinar and we encourage you to continue chatting. If you have any questions, please take note of them and you will be given time at the end during our Q&A session of the webinar where you can have your questions answered. Today's webinar presenters are Vanessa and Kira from Four Directions Aboriginal Student Centre.
So hello everyone, my name is Vanessa McCord, as Thar said, and welcome to our webinar. I am Mohawk. I'm from Tyendinaga, Mohawk Territory. I am the student advisor at the Four Directions Aboriginal Student Centre. I've been there now for just over 11 years, and so I'm happy to be presenting today. And I just wanted to open it up and in the chat box, just an icebreaker, if you can tell us the one thing that you are looking forward to this year at Queen's, just to kind of get it open. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Kira. I'm the other presenter for the Four Directions Center today. I identify as with the Greater Golden Lake Algonquin tribe. I just started working at Queen's and I'm working as the Indigenous recruitment representative for this upcoming year. So I'm really excited to meet some people like yourself that are really excited about going to university. So yeah. We'll start off by recognizing that Queen's is located on traditional Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee territory. I said that wrong, but by acknowledging the territory, we recognize the significance for the Indigenous people who lived and continue to live upon it, ones whose practices were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today.
So it's Vanessa again. I'm going to talk to you a bit about Four Directions and what the center is, what we provide, and a bit of an overview for you, just to, I guess, familiarize yourself a bit more with the center before coming to Queen's. And then if you have any questions, again, like Thar said at the end, we would be happy to answer those. So we call the Four Directions Aboriginal Student Centre, we like to refer to it as 4D, and we say it's a home away from home. So it's a place for you to come in, you know, make a meal, relax, chat with your friends, watch some TV, just a space for you to study and socialize and just to feel comfortable, a safe space to just to be who you are and to relax. We have nice, comfortable couches, and sometimes students say they don't want to leave to go to class, although we don't encourage that. So this picture here is of our houses, and you actually are a very lucky crew coming in this year because we have just been given the second house to the left. So we're now at 146 and 144 Berry Street. So this summer they are busy renovating both spaces, so we are going to double in size for September. So we're very excited about that. So that means more dedicated study space for you as students, more meeting space, quieter spaces for you to study, as well as a cultural room. So we have a room downstairs that we are renovating that's going to have, it's sort of be like a round room, and we're going to have medicines for you to access. You can smudge there, and then when we bring in elders, we'll have our cultural teachings there. And then in the second house, 144 on the left, we're renovating that, so it's going to be a full kitchen area. So, if you're between classes and you have half an hour or an hour, you don't have to go all the way back to residence. If you don't like, you can come and make a meal, make a snack, and just to be comfortable there. And then we also have laundry facilities, so not so much in first year, but as you get into upper years, it's kind of nice to be able to bring your laundry there to do. It's free, you don't have to pay anything, and you have full access to the laundry facilities. So in the next slide, we're just talking about, is this near you? Oh, sorry, I'll pass it over to Kira.
Sorry for the switch up, but I will explain. We're talking about the self-identification when you come to Queen's. While applying for university, you do have the opportunity to self-identify as an Indigenous student on UAC. So some of you may have already done this, but if not, you still have lots of time. You can actually do it throughout your whole time at Queen's whenever you feel the need on Solus. By self-identifying, it enables you to become connected right away to the Indigenous community at Queen's. Not only do you have the opportunity to practice and learn about your culture, but you'll have access to tons of information and resources that will help support your success in your time at Queen's. These include support services from staff, tutoring and academic help, bursaries, scholarships, elders, cultural programming, and much more. If you did not self-identify on UAC and want to do it now, just log onto your Solus account at queensu.ca. You'll see a personal information tab near the bottom of the page where you can then select the Aboriginal self-identification button. If you have any other questions, you can also contact Vanessa here at mccourtv@queensu.ca.
Thanks, Kira. So, meet our staff. Who is at Four Directions? Candice Baptiste is the director. She was hired in February, and she oversees the day-to-day operations of the center. Laura Miracle is the Aboriginal Cultural Safety Coordinator, so in her job she coordinates all of our trainings. We do a lot of the Kairos blanket exercises, and so she goes into classrooms, she visits clubs, and delivers the trainings to staff, students, faculty, and the broader Kingston community. And this is a fairly new position. I think she's been in this position about 2 years, but since the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we've seen a huge increase in just awareness and staff, students, faculty wanting to learn more about Indigenous histories, cultures, knowledges, and so she's been pretty busy conducting those trainings. Lisa Dockstader is our Aboriginal community liaison and also works in outreach and missions and recruitment. That's a mouthful. So in her position, she, you might have seen her on the road, actually. She does a lot of the Aboriginal post-secondary information program tours, talking to high school students about Queen's and programs and services. But she also does a lot of outreach with the Kingston community. So she has an Aboriginal youth network, and so she brings in high school students, and she's starting a mentorship program, a youth leadership and mentorship program, and so trying to do a bit more sort of targeted outreach to area local high schools to talk to them about the importance of post-secondary and familiarizing them with Queen's in the campus. So hopefully one day they will be in your position and wanting to attend university. Other staff, myself, I'm, as I said, the Aboriginal student advisor. So, if you come in and you might be struggling with a class or a roommate financially, I'm sort of your first point of contact. So you can meet with me, and I will be following up in September and having a check-in meeting with you just to see, kind of how things are going, how you're finding the first couple of months of university, and assisting you in any way that I can. Mary Wales is our administrative coordinator, so she will most likely be the first face you see when you come to the center. She does a lot of our day-to-day budgeting, financial resources, that sort of thing. And then Kira, who you've also met, is doing a lot. She was hired, and so will now be doing a lot of the outreach and recruitment in sort of all of Ontario and Western Quebec, talking to high school students about post-secondary. So that's in our center. There are other staff, Indigenous staff on campus, who you may or may not run into depending on your interests. Anne Deere, she also works in recruitment with the Faculty of Law and the Smith School of Business, so she plays a huge role in supporting the law students on campus. And if at some point you're thinking about applying to law school, she would be a good contact, a good person to reach out to talk specifically about law school admissions and the process to apply to law school. And then Courtney Clark was also recently hired, a similar position to Anne, but she will be focusing on the faculties of health science, so specifically medicine, but School of Public Health and nursing. And so in her role, also similar to Anne's, if you're thinking about medical school at some point down the road, Courtney would be a good person to reach out to talk about the admission process to medical school. And there's a lot of momentum, like I said, with the TRC, so we are also looking to hire more staff across campus. So we are hoping in the next term to hire 2 more elders, a cultural counselor who will be based out of Four Directions, another recruitment representative, and we're in the process of hiring Indigenous and events program coordinator. So this person will be also housed at Four Directions, and they will be overseeing all of our cultural programming that we do, our workshops, and our special events, and bringing in other traditional knowledge holders to hold various workshops. Oh, that's cut off. Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's not cut off. Never mind. So what we strive to do at Four Directions is to provide a holistic approach to assisting you succeed. And we do this by assisting and balancing all aspects of your student health, so that's social, mental, spiritual, emotional. And so by providing programming, workshops, events, and staff, we try to set you up for success, and so that you know, if you're struggling or you're experiencing some difficulties or setbacks, that we have the right either person or support put in place so to help you, assist you in dealing with those setbacks. And so we do that by a lot of different programming, and you'll kind of learn more about the programming when you come to Four Directions in Queens. But I believe we have listed a few examples here. So I assist you with your academics. So whether that's tutoring, I oversee a peer helper program. So if you're thinking about that, you can contact me. I pair you with an upper year Indigenous student, and it's sort of a kind of a peer one-on-one. You meet with them every other week and just discuss any kind of issues that might be coming up for you. We also offer some bursaries for tutoring and some financial assistance. Writing support, so we pair up with the student academic support services. So if you're needing extra help with editing or writing a paper, we can assist you with that. We have a monthly e-newsletter that we send out, and so that just gives you ideas of what's coming up, either with programming, jobs, scholarships, just to kind of keep you in the loop about what's happening at Four Directions. And then around exam times, We try to assist you, so we have an exam care package that you can stop by for directions and pick one of those up. And then we also have extended center hours, so over exam times you can come in, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and the center will be open for you. And then we also pair with the Student Experience Office, who you might have heard has Q Success and Bounce Back programs to assist students who might be struggling academically. And we also we have an Aboriginal cohort for those programs. And other supports we offer through the center. Like I said, we have cultural workshops. So we basically, it's based on student feedback. So if there's something that you're not seeing that you would like to see or that you would like to attend, we are definitely open to suggestions. These are just some examples that we've listed of events that we've held in the past. We had a student last year come and say he really wanted to make a ribbon shirt. So we were able to kind of pull that workshop together so that students were able to make a ribbon shirt or skirt. So it's really, it's student-led, and it's based on your interests and what you want to see and do at the center. Food is very important at the center. We recognize that students are often hungry and might be low on funds, and so we have feast nights. So the first and the third Wednesday of every month, we have our Three Sisters Feast, and that's just a drop-in from 5 to 7. You can come and get a free home-cooked meal offered through our guest chef program. If you like fry bread, you're in luck. We have the last Friday of every month is our Fry Bread Friday. So between 12 and 1 o'clock, we have somebody making fry bread. And then our Welcome Back Barbecue, which this year we've just decided, because we will still be under construction, we are moving that to a Thanksgiving dinner for Indigenous students. So that will be held in October. And then there are many ways for you to get involved socially through the center. We have a well-being circle, so that's another sort of weekly meetup for students, and we offer holistic programming for students. We have the Queens Native Student Association. They meet every week, and they plan programming and sort of social events and workshops for other students on campus. And then we have an elders program, so we will be bringing in elders weekly to meet with students and to also hold teachings and workshops. And then we'll be hiring, hopefully by October, a cultural counselor, so this person can offer one-on-one support to you if you might be struggling or just want somebody to talk to. You can meet with a cultural counselor who will also be housed at Four Directions.
So not only does Queens have a broad network of academic, cultural, social, and emotional support, there are also some supports that are faculty specific. The woman on the screen you see is Melanie Howard, the director of AAE, which stands for Aboriginal Access to Engineering. This program, it develops programming that works to encourage Indigenous youth to pursue studies in pure and applied sciences. They do this by creating programming and projects that will feel relevant to them. So AAE can provide you as a student all realms of support for your time in engineering. This includes tutoring, exam prep. They have a mentorship and internship opportunities. And they also have their own space on campus. So if you're in the engineering program and you want somewhere quiet to sit and study, they have a study space that's specific to them.
So there's a lot of ways for you to get involved at Queen's. These are just some of the Indigenous specific clubs and associations, but there are over 300 different clubs and associations that you can get involved in, and you'll learn more about those during your orientation week and clubs night. But we've just listed a few here that might be of interest to you. So like I said before, the QNSA, you will hear it be referred to, is the Queen's Native Student Association. And that's primarily made up of undergraduate students, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and they meet and decide on various workshops that they'd like to hold. They organize for their Indigenous Awareness Week, which is typically held in March, and so there's a week-long series of events, activities, film screenings. Last year they brought in a hoop dancer to do a hoop dance workshop, so they do a lot of really cool events and programs, and very open to new members joining their association. ACES, the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, is a fairly new committee, I guess, association. It started, I believe, a year and a half ago, and it's made up of primarily Indigenous science and engineering students, and so there's a whole sort of network across Canada and United States, and it's a culminating up to a conference that's held every year, and it's primarily Indigenous engineering and science students that attend this conference. So it's really cool to attend the conference and see other Indigenous folks there who have similar interests in mind, and so that association club is run out of Melanie Howard's office, so if you want to get involved in that, contact Melanie. We have the Education Student Society, so those are, that is primarily of students who are looking at going into education or who are in the concurrent education program. SAGE, Supporting Aboriginal Graduate Enhancements, so that is primarily for students who are in graduate school or who are looking at a graduate program, and they meet, and so it's a supportive environment for graduate students. Kiki, we call, as it's known, is the Gaswenta Indigenous Knowledge Initiative, and so it's a group made up of undergrad, graduate students, and they organize various talks, teach-ins on campus, and sort of around a certain theme. So last year we talked about food, sovereignty, treaties. Basically, if we see there's a knowledge gap at Queen's and there is an opportunity to bring in a guest speaker, then Kiki does that. And then ALSA is the Aboriginal Law Students Alliance. So again, it's primarily made up of law students, but they work out of the law school and to advance Indigenous knowledge within the law school. And also other ways to get involved, as a few of these I've already mentioned, but like I said before, the Aboriginal Peer Mentor Program, if you're coming in and you're a little nervous and would like to meet with an upper-year student, definitely send me an email and I can hook you up with a mentor. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities at Four Directions, so depending on your level of availability, we can definitely find something for you to do and to help out with. The Aboriginal Youth Leadership Program, so it is an outreach to youth in the community, and we partner with the Cataraqui Aboriginal School, CAS, so it's sort of getting the skills to the youth and teaching them about just leadership in general, but also about strengthening their educational skills, and so they're in a good position to attend post-secondary education. The Faculty of Education has a medicine garden, so they're always looking for extra hands to help out maintaining their garden. And then AAE, so through Melanie's program, the Aboriginal Access to Engineering, she has some opportunities available for you within that program as well.
So Queen's offers many courses and options aimed to help students develop their knowledge on Indigenous culture, social systems, history, language, and contemporary issues. U.S. students can choose to take a minor in Indigenous Studies, choosing 30 units from courses, all that you can see on the Queen's website. An Indigenous minor is a great option for those thinking of careers in education, law, business, policy, governance, or social services. This year, coming at Queen's, we're offering 3 Indigenous language courses, Mohawk, Inuktitut, and Anishinaabe. So if you guys are interested in any of those, you can look into it, and they often count towards many other programs as well.
So at this point, we'd like to say Nyalo Miigwech and thank you for listening to our presentation. We will stick around for 10 to 15 minutes. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box, and we will happily answer any questions you might have. We're looking forward to meeting you in September and seeing you on campus. If you do have any questions after the webinar that you didn't get answered, you can email myself, Vanessa, at McCourt, MCCOURTV, at queensu.ca. We also have a website that is fairly comprehensive. I hope I put it together. But it's queensu.ca/FDASE, or you can just Google 4 Directions Aboriginal Student Center, and we have a lot of information on our website as well. So thank you for listening.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this webinar addressed any questions you had about supports and services at the 4 Directions Aboriginal Student Center. This is the end of the presentation, and we will proceed to the Q&A session in just a moment. Before we do, we wanted to highlight a few things. For a full list of things to do before arriving on campus in September, you can visit www.queensu.ca/nextsteps for a checklist. And a list of all upcoming webinars in our summer webinar series is available to you at the Student Experience Office website. We've also listed the 2 upcoming ones in the next 2 weeks. We'd love to get your feedback on our webinar, and I encourage you all to give us your thoughts in the feedback box on the next screen. We'll now start the Q&A session, and again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Cameron. Do we get to move in a day early? So if you had signed on and registered for the move-in day, so the welcome day for Indigenous students, which I see that you did, yes, so the day that you can move in is the Friday, August the 31st. I am in the process of drafting an email that I'll send out probably Thursday, tomorrow, is that Thursday? Yeah, tomorrow. That sort of gives some next steps about what to expect, where the parking is, sort of some logistics of the day. So expect to receive that email in your inbox by the end of the day tomorrow.